Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Lojak. We are previewing week one in college football right now with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. You know him if you're a regular viewer of our videos. And we're going to cover BC UMass, sort of a typical game for Steve to find an edge in for us, involving two smaller teams with an interesting spread. And Steve plugs in his numbers and does his research and comes back with possible line value for us. Steve, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you for having me back, Peter.
All right, so it's week one. Before we get into BC and UMass, just give a quick overview of your site, collegefootballwinning.com, and tell us all how excited you are for this upcoming football season.
I would love to, Peter. At collegefootballwinning.com, all we do is college football betting analysis 365 days a year. We're a company founded on making our betting recommendations algorithmically, and we call that our formula, those algorithmic betting recommendations. Our formula last season was 66.18% against the spread. Lifetime for that formula, 63.04% against the spread. We hope everybody wants to join us. Now is the best time because you get the entire season with us. So we're just ahead of the season as it begins today as we're recording this. Put in coupon code SBR10, that's SBR10, when you go to our site, collegefootballwinning.com, and you'll get 10% off of any membership that we're currently offering.
All right, Steve, sounds good. BC and UMass is the week one game that you're going to give us an opinion on, and UMass currently a 17-point underdog, opened at 14.5, so someone's been betting BC here. The total's 48. And, a lot of times we see games like this, matchups like this. I research it and I get a good sense of line value. This one, I'm not exactly sure because, BC, of course, lost a lot of talent on offense, right? They lost Andre Williams and a bunch of other guys. But they add Tyler Murphy at quarterback, who's a transfer from Florida. He did play with Florida. And, so obviously going up against the UMass defense is going to be a huge step down in class for him. And UMass, this is basically their Super Bowl, right? So they're going to fight to keep it as close as they possibly can. So I could see this one, maybe being close in the first half. But the problem is if you take UMass plus 17, I could easily see them, getting gas in the second half. And if that happens and the talent discrepancy is big enough, then BC could easily run away with it in the second half and cover 17 easily. That's how the market sees it going. What's your take on this game, Steve?
Good introduction, Peter. Well, it's week one, so we have as everyone knows, we have no current season on the field performance data. So we are really going to be looking at, some other numbers, namely betting data, to guide us here in this selection. So first off, of course, we're always looking for value. We're searching for value. So that means we're searching for value in the betting line. Now, these two played in 2011. It was at BC. BC won 45-17. They easily covered the spread. They covered the spread by 16 points. So that was easy for them. Now, UMass has the same coach that they had. BC's coach is, of course, different from that 2011 team. But there are 15 fourth or fifth-year starters on BC. That's just starters for BC that were on. Most of them were on that 2011 team. But let's look at this betting line here. Now, this game, of course, is listed as a UMass home game, Peter, but it's being played at Gillette Stadium, which, UMass has tried to adopt as their home stadium. That's the home, as you know, of the Patriots. It's in Foxborough, Massachusetts. That's 20 to 25 miles away from Boston College, but it's about 90 miles from UMass. So UMass is being credited here with home field advantage, but you could call it a neutral site, or if anything, you could give Boston College some home field advantage because of the school's proximity. So by our numbers here, and granted, we are talking about week one before we've seen anybody play any football. So no current season performance data. But that disclaimer said, we think Boston College should be at least a 20 to a 23-point favorite in this game. Now, you already mentioned, from what you saw, Boston College opened as a 14.5-point favorite. What I've seen mostly is they've opened at a 14-point favorite. Either way, there's been pretty significant line movement here. By the numbers that I use, it's moved 3 points. Okay, so when the line has gone from Boston College minus 14 to Boston College minus 17. In 36 games of 10-plus seasons of our betting data here, when the opening line, when it opened at -14 for anyone, and there was significant line movement, so like here, at least 3 points, the against the spread outcome, Peter, was never different between the opening number and the closing number, meaning that whether you got a team like BC at -14 on the opener or -17 after it had moved 3 points already, the against the spread outcome was exactly the same in all 36 occurrences the past 10 seasons. So our conclusion here for week one in this game, Peter, take Boston College -17 and do not worry about missing out on a perceived opportunity because of the significant line movement.
Should we be worried, though, about maybe, there are some new components for BC, and even though they have, a relative stud at quarterback, they're clearly, this game is not as important to them as it is to UMass, and UMass is going to fight tooth and nail, even if they're down a lot to the end, and, the line is big, but we shouldn't be worried about that, huh? The motivation discrepancy, a possible motivation discrepancy.
I think BC, especially under head coach Steve Adazio, they're as tough as nails, and I think we'd be making a mistake if you didn't think they wanted to win this intra-state rivalry here against UMass. I do not think they're taking them very lightly. This is their opening game. They get to play in the Patriots' home stadium. It is, 25 miles from campus. It's basically Boston. It's Foxborough. These guys are going to be motivated plenty to do well in this game. And by the way, if you're talking about experience and you want some older guys, BC actually has the most graduate student players of any school in the country. So even though maybe at first glance they look inexperienced, they still have some older veteran guys. Only Alabama has as many graduate students, so 15 on the roster right now. So, and it's certainly a veteran offensive line. So no, that doesn't scare me.
All right, Steve from College Football, winning.com, recommending a play on the favorite, BC at -17. Thanks so much, Steve. We'll talk to you next week.